Okay, now. Then hello everyone. We are here to start this discussion about this communication or this general discussion about how we are communicating or how we are working as a network in CivicWise. Then we are here now with Joanna and Julia. Hello, Julia and Joanna.
Hi. Hello.
Okay, I think 1 second because Seba is here. 1 second, eh?
Yeah. Well, the time that Jonathan arrived. Okay, he's there.
Sorry, I'm here. And then I don't know if you could see this meeting minutes document I prepared. Maybe I can share it here also. And then I will just try to introduce the general discussion to the people who is watching it, or maybe somebody. But these hangouts, I with more people, we propose to start it because we are a kind of concerned with the idea, well, under this idea of working as a network or not. No, we from CityWise say that we work as a distributed network and we communicate each other, but sometimes we see that this is something very difficult to do. And then we are getting so involved in many projects and initiatives, and the community is growing so fast that sometimes I think we are losing our global perspective, no, of what is happening. And then what it makes sometimes is that we cannot have control or know what is happening inside the network. And I think it makes more difficult sometimes to collaborate or to work as a real network. Here is Seba. And
Hi.
well, I was just trying to introduce the discussion topic. And then this, in one hand, what it makes is that we lose kind of visibility or connection. That's what I think of what is happening. No? And that's why sometimes you see that, or we have been discussing it sometimes, you see that, for example, in Italy and Spain, there are happening two very, very similar projects, but there is no connection between them. I think this is a kind of a pity, not always, it's not that all the projects has to be connected, but I think if we work as a collaborative and distributed network, it would be very helpful if we are really able to make collaborations between these projects. And then this is about visibility, and then the other thing is more about governance and about these things that, for example, with you, Joanna, we have been discussing many times. No? How sometimes we work as a connected and distributed network, but the focus, I think, and this is good, is usually on the people, no? How the people is able to connect to each other between different circles or between different cities. But sometimes if people is not, if people doesn't know what is happening in other circles, it could be not so easy for them to be connected. And then what I would like to maybe to start with this hangout today is to start a general discussion about how to improve our internal communication, about our governance to make the network work in a more distributed way, but also not just a discussion, but also I think it would be nice to start with a specific communicative and other kind of actions to make it work better. And yeah, like a campaign or something. I think, for example, with the loss in translation project, with all these things of the web, I think, of course, there have been many big, very big steps forward, no improvements, and in this way. But I think we can do some other things, for example, with social networks inside the way we organize our Slacks. And I don't know, this is the, I don't know if you could understand it with my English, but this is the main introduction. I see you are reading the. document.
What I would say is that if I concentrate on myself, on the way I receive information and I give information, I think there is something lacking, because when I look at all the CivicWise network, there is a lot of people, and communicating, it's similar to communicate in general, do an external communication. For example, if I'm working on a project in Paris, I like to let all the CivicWise network know about this project, but I'm not able to communicate to all the CivicWise network until it's finished, as if it was a communication towards the general public. So for me, what is difficult is to be able to communicate all the project process, and to do this to a group of people that sometimes is not very clear. I don't know who will look at this communication. So for me, internal communication, normally when you do an internal communication, you know to whom you are talking. For example, if I do internal communication and I communicate with the Valencia circle, I know who is there, and I can give some information that is not complete, that it's maybe not consistent, because you will see it as something that is being produced. But this attitude that I think it's very interesting, because internal communication means that you understand all the process, you understand all the problems that you have within a project. This, for me, it's difficult to do it towards all the CivicWise network, because I don't know to whom I'm talking. Rather, maybe wait and communicate at the end. So there's, as you said, it's a pity because you can lose some opportunities. But I said I look to myself because I need to look at which are our practices in general of communication and of receiving information. So for me, that is the tricky point, that I don't know how to deal with this. So that's it.
But Jonathan, that problem, you said that we are not aware of what's going on within CivicWise, but it's not a problem within the circles, right? In case Iona, the whole Paris circle knows already what you are working on, but not the Valencia circle, for example.
Well, you are right to ask this, because in Paris, those that we see each other often, we are all aware of what's going on. But the people that it's part of CivicWise, but they are not very active, they may have the same problem. Like in Paris, we are very focused on a place, on a co-working place. So if you are in this co-working place, you will know everything, but not if you are just in Paris and you don't come physically. So yeah, it also comes with Paris.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a very interesting also point of view. I mean, because I was, for example, I was just thinking in the international or in the global scale, but I think also in the local scale could happen if you are not very active. You just see some of the things that are happening, but I think it would be very nice I think we could develop, I don't know, if tools or actions, or I don't know how, to make also the local circles more more open or more inclusive. And I was thinking, for example, this thing that you, for example, did in Italy from a global point of view or a national point of view, the Incontro Civico, the civic encounter, I don't know how to call it in English. The civic meeting, like I don't know if you know it, but in Italy they did a kind of national meeting to invite all the people interested in the network, in the CivicWise network, to go there, and then you met each other, and then you start
something like the local, but we made it in Bari with the School Open Source. It's a very huge project in the south of Italy. Basically, it was a national meeting.
And I was thinking, could it work, for example, at a local scale? Because I mean, I wonder, did we do something like that in local circles. I think that we didn't. I mean, for example, that would be a good tool to open the way we work or to invite new people. It is very simple kind of things. I think would make us work more open or
For example,
visible way.
we do. I don't know now, but they used to do like the we share drinks that were like meetings in bars or in like working, and they basically do networking and each other like one a month, one every month, drinking something, talking, maybe presenting something, project.
It's a bit difficult to understand you. Can you get closer? It's your voice is lost.
Okay. Okay. No, I was talking about the we share drink. There is a format that they used to do. I don't know if they still do. That basically with a drink, meeting each other in a bar or working or in a space, they talk about the circle. So what the project and networking, and they also meet other people, new people that are interested in sharing case. And it's a very simple format that we can use.
Yeah, I like the idea, but
one a month.
For example, in local circles, something like that. But I was thinking that for the general thing, I don't know how do you see it, but I think, for example, this of course, sorry, this hangout session cannot be for sure we cannot solve everything in this session, and then I think we should try to see what do we want to reach at the end of the session, and I think would be very nice to start just like to start, I don't know, like a campaign or something like that to this thing we already discussed, to make everything we do more visible and everything, and also maybe to see if we find during this session that we really need to discuss further about this kind of thing, maybe we can at the end of the session see if it would be interesting to have more sessions.
But Jonathan, I listen. You are saying all the time a campaign, but for me the campaign is not exactly the main thing. But for me, it's more about the format. So how can we communicate about projects in a very efficient way? Like I imagine, I don't know, short videos or some short presentation. Because what I see is that if we do a campaign, we are communicating as if we were with general public. And for example, especially in France, maybe it's each country have its own culture. But when you share something that it's not finished, it's not, you are not giving a good image of yourself. So I want to share things within the CivicWise network, but I don't want to make Facebook and Twitter be full of this, because I don't want to share all the process with everybody. I mean, everybody that want to get into CivicWise, yeah. But for me, the tricky thing is that we are in a kind of intermediate level of communication. So, and I think it would be like maybe in Spain, for you, it's positive to communicate in a very open way about all you, but maybe it's just me personally that I'm not comfortable with this kind. But what I need is to have a format that I can produce fast and I consume fast. I would like to, in an afternoon, to check and to know about 10 projects that are going on, to be able to do it quite fast. But yeah, so for me, it's a lot about format.
Yeah, I agree. But maybe I say this thing of campaign because this discussion started as we just started talking about how bad we were doing visible the work we have done already, but to the main public, I mean, and then we started talking about making a campaign to show what is going on inside CivicWise, and also from a local scale. We started, for example, I started discussing with Seba about different projects that were happening in Italy that were very similar to some of them we already did in Spain, but they were not connected. And then the discussion became bigger because we started talking not just about communication, but also about internal communication. Hola, Daniel.
Hola, hi.
And then,
okay.
Now that Daniel is here, this it's very good that you are here, because then from the discussion about communication, we were just at the beginning talking about internal and external communication, but then talking with people like Daniele or Francesco and more people, we realized that we also have to improve many internal governance things. And for example, Daniele did a very interesting work comparing different formats and governance tools that we share, Cocoon and other networks already have, and maybe we don't have. And I think we can learn a lot about other experiences. And then this discussion that started about like a campaign about internal and external communication became so big that I think maybe we need to start thinking about specific actions, but also I think we need a bigger discussion at local camp. But I think we cannot wait 6 months to improve the way we do several things, because then it will be too slow. And also, and I finished talking to you, for example, Joanna, you have been also talking a lot about very specific formats or ways to communicate several things of TVWise, but not just to the main public or to the interior of TVWise, but also to, for example, our potential clients. Then I think the discussion is so big that we should try to find like main topics, as you said, we could use to start focusing all of them.
Julia, what do you think about it?
Yeah.
Well, I think we need something, I don't know if you can see, some axis.
Yeah.
Just like the internal, external is a line, and another axis is the finished or in process projects. So we need to kind of develop different strategies for all these 4 points, like internal, external communication, finished. You might even want to share like a project that's not finished yet with the external community. So how you will do it. So I think different we need to talk about. We cannot talk about them in a general way, but rather separate them and then discuss along these different axes.
Yeah, what I
think of it like that. This is the internal communication, and this is the external communication. I don't know, finished project, and this is the in process. So we have 4 different types of communication we need to solve. I think, like, how do you communicate your finished project internally? How do you communicate your finished project externally? Your in-process project internally, and how do you communicate your in-process project externally? So kind of, I mean, you may want one of these ones to happen, some of them not to happen at all, but different, I think we need to discuss them separately.
I completely agree with you, Julia, and I do think that it's very ambitious the campaign you want to start, well, that we are talking about, and that maybe we should think about which are our goals. And for me, there is one goal that it's very simple, and it's to improve the kind of trust that we have within the network. Like, knowing better, it's also making you be more concerned about what is going on. So it's almost about also this identity. Like, if I know what's going on, then I am part of it. So it's about what I don't find the word is like confianza, like making this feeling of being part of it. So this is it's not a like maybe it's a small goal. It's at the civic-wise scale, but I think it's important because we are getting bigger, and we kind of lose like it's not tight enough. We cannot understand what's going on. So this is one goal. It's about what happens within the network, and then I think there is another goal, and it's to learn to communicate to somebody that it's not a specialist or that it's not an architect. Or so I think we have to do an exercise of getting our communication a bit lower, like to a more accessible way, because I think that we got used to talk in a very strange way, using so many strange words, and suddenly we have a friend of us and he's not understanding anything. So I think it would be good to have this like an exercise of getting all vocabulary lower, like everything accessible. And then I think there is another goal that it has to do with how we show ourselves outside, like this external communication, and saying, look, we've done all these projects, these are the projects we've done, and this is what all companies are doing. Like all companies have a list of what they've done, and then they are able to show it, just to make people understand what do they do. So we are not at that level of being able to show what we've done. We are still in a kind of intermediate level. So I think it's this goal. That I set 3 goals, like internal, like communication, and But for me, these are different, maybe different actions that we'll do for each of them. Maybe it's not the same action for all of them.
Inside of these goals, I think we can think. I think it's a very good way to start now, setting the goals. But for example, to stay connected while the civic community is growing. In this case, we can think of it in the double scale we were discussing. Scale, for example, if something is happening in Italy, in the tools or the ways, we make sure that I can know what is happening in Italy from Spain, but also inside the local circles, as Julia said, who is not very active inside the Paris circle or the Valencia circle, to set maybe formats, the civic-wise drinks, or I don't know how to make people to come here and with us. I don't know. Comment.
Yeah, I always think at short videos, but maybe it's not the answer. But I think that one of the tools we could use is short videos, and put them in a way that all people from CivicWise can find them. And this way, to have them classed, I don't know, but it would be already good to have a list of the projects that are going on. We don't even have that list. And then if you had that list, to have next to each project, like a video saying, this is a project that have been finished already, and we are so happy of what happened, or this is a project we are working on, and we'd like to know if somebody else is working on these issues. Or this is a project, like, kind of very basic.
Yeah, I don't know if the website, of course, will help a lot on it. But I always wonder if we have to wait to have that website finished, or if we can maybe.
But she's talking about the internal.
Yeah.
The website. I was thinking about Slack, but maybe because every project mainly is on Slack.
Yeah.
Yeah, come closer to the mic.
Sorry. No, that every project mainly is on Slack. Every project of CivicWise, but maybe is too much. You know, every channel in Slack is very. Anyway, it's very difficult to find every project, to follow every project. So the videos can be an answer to have like check of what is happening, but maybe we can find, I don't know, a tool that is more less complicated, you know, to keep on knowing what is happening.
What would it be like if we had like hangout sessions where people just talk about their projects in a very like way, and we keep this hangout, I mean, not in YouTube, but maybe we keep the link on Slack and so on. So it's easier to talk, and you can share your, I don't know, your desktop and stuff on Hangouts. You know, the Pecha meetings where you just use some number of slides to explain a project in a very short way. So, I mean, maybe it's much more easier than make a short video because you just talk there.
I think it's very good to take the Pecha format, and maybe we could have on Slack one channel that is called videos, and we have them all there. So you don't need to get into every project channel because, for example, my Slack is already full. I don't want to have another 10 projects. I'm done. So
but
we could have one.
Slack is it deletes at the point, as far as I know.
Then maybe we shouldn't use Slack, but another place, but where we could keep all the links, and then it's, if there is a content that it's interesting, then it's a work of each circle maybe to communicate and to say, hey, look in that channel because we've just done a very interesting hangout, check it. But sometimes it's easier to have information just in a linear way, like a big list, and you go up and down. You don't need to have a panel with a lot of projects. It's just going. And I don't know, I agree with Jonathan that it's good to think at how to improve tools. But just to start with, we could have some hangouts, and maybe in order to make it more like Pecha Kucha way, maybe to have 3 projects that are in the same hangout, or 4 projects, like to make it a bit dynamic and say, hi.
Hey. Hi all.
But yeah, maybe we could say like, now in one hangout you will be update of what's going on in Barcelona, or in one hangout you will be updated what's going on in Paris. So you would have a kind of circle update, and this way, yeah, we have the information that we want to be transparent, but it's a lot of energy to be transparent. So let's find a way to be transparent in an easy way. So
can I make a comment?
Yeah.
You know, in every project, at least in L'Hospitalet, we have like a Google Doc in which we have many sections who explain the develop of the project. Maybe this is a good way. I mean, one doc in which you can explain every phases or steps, and maybe in the place of communication, we can have like a list of short videos in which you can say the status, you know, maybe with date, and say at this moment this is the situation, like very short, and of course one short video explaining the project general. Where can be those documents? I don't know where, but I think this one, the document for project, can be like a good tool.
I don't know if to this correctly. You said that you have a list of videos within every project to be updated.
Yeah, I mean, in every project, we have at least in Mestura Puerto and we did it too. We have like a doc in which you can see the phases of the project. So in these phases, then in one section, we can have like a box of communication dedicated to update the last situation of the project. I'm gonna share the document.
But I think what you are telling, Maite, I think that goes back to the practices. Like there is on one side, how can we produce this information, and then how can we consume this information? How can we look at it? And what I think is that we have to make things to be very easy, because we cannot spend, I mean, there is some information that is already there, but we don't take the time to go into each drive to look at all the meeting minutes, because it's a lot of energy to give, to be looking at lots of meeting minutes, at a lot of blogs. I think we need to be guided in order to get the information in a very easy way. It's just, if you look at the number of projects that are in CivicWise, we cannot spend for each project half an hour, because we'll never manage. I think we have to make it very easy to consume. Like, I don't like this word, but to get, because if we are very interested in one particular project, then we will spend all the time to look in the meeting minutes. But just to have an overview of what's going on, we should make information very accessible, I think.
And then in this sense, because we have already almost 1 hour more, no? But I think it would be very useful if we can think of, and you already said several things, if we can think of something that we could start doing from tomorrow. I mean, because we can start, we even have as a proposal, an idea we had in Italy about making a CivicWise Tinder to make it, to see the matches between people working on projects, blah, 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 no? But I think it's very interesting, but it's something that is not realistic, no, today. But I think it would be very good to start thinking and maybe trying to see which one can be involved on it. Solutions, things that we could start from tomorrow to make it real, to make this connection, this real connection between circles and the whole network possible. Maybe it's this thing of the channel or these sessions, I don't know.
For me, the most easy thing to do is what Julia said about a hangout that is recorded.
Yeah.
So, for example, let's say that we'll go to Paris and say, Paris will explain 3 projects that are going on. So we do a hangout that is update from Paris, and we are at least 2 of us in Paris that we prepare a bit of a speech. But then, because you are there, it's a bit informal. We can just say, like, do a 5 minutes presentation for project, and then a bit of discussion. So maybe it's half an hour for the hangout, not more than half an hour. And you can ask us in particular things that maybe we don't realize that are interesting, and we just do this update. And yeah, I think this is something that is very rough. Like, you don't need to prepare it that much. And maybe the only thing I should do is prepare 4 images so that I can share the screen at some point and show, like, this is the place, this is the thing, this is, and like a Pechacucha, but Pechacucha are 20 images. Maybe only 5 is enough.
But for example, the thing with Pechacucha that is very interesting is that it's a very specific format that they repeat. I think maybe it would be interesting to think of a format or to make all of them half an hour.
But for me, the Pechacucha has a lot of quality. If we did a Pechacucha, it would be great. But I'm just looking at the way to do updates. So maybe the Pechacucha is a format that we can also keep in mind. But the problem I see always in CivicWise is that we are all so busy, and we are all in too much projects than we can deal with. So how can we do this in this context? How can we do something in this context when everybody's completely like...
No. But for example, I say, because, and I don't know if you want, if we can start thinking of this format of maybe this is something that we can do later, some of us or something. For me, it would be good if we think of this kind of hangout session that you, Julia, said, to set very specific things. Like, for example, I think would be good if the presentations are done with images. I mean, because we are always talking, I think it's great to talk, but sometimes it's useful just to see an image, just see a graph, something that explains you in a very easy and visual way. something super quick, no? And then, for
And
example, like you said, prepare 5.
We could also do pechacuchas. Yeah,
No?
but I mean,
What?
if we had time, we could also do some pechacucha, especially of the projects that are already hand in. The projects that are finished, we should be able to explain them maybe in a better way. Like, but I just wonder how much time are we going to give to this communication process? Maybe we should do it, but I don't know if we'll manage to do it.
I don't know. I would try. I don't know who.
So what we can say is that we are in a process that starts with very small actions and that go to bigger actions. That we are going to experiment with different formats in order to make us know better. So it doesn't mean that we only have to do the very easy thing to do. We can do some hangout about some projects update, and maybe some of us will decide to prepare another format, a pechacucha, whatever, so we can give a better quality to our information. I mean, I don't think we have to keep only one single format.
Yeah.
But for me, it's more a dynamic where we start sharing and, yeah.
I will kind of oppose myself, but one of the problems with the Hangout is just everyone has to be there at the same time. And I'm not sure we are very much free to be there at the same time. I'm not sure if the Hangout is a good format, but it's the most interactive format that we can use for this internal communication. We can also do, like Iona said, short videos. I don't know, through Hangouts maybe, just like in a very informal way, and upload there. But then it will be hard to receive comments and so on. So in a way, someone needs to take care of the internal communication. I think it cannot work on its own. You have to, someone needs to take care of it and just invite people to talk about their, like, do a moderator in all these Hangout sessions, I think. And also set the agenda, who is going to present what, should be clear before the Hangout starts. Not sure if this is meant, but if we say just like, yeah, there will be Hangout sessions for internal communication and everyone can just submit their ideas, I'm sure it will never happen.
I think that, for example, if we do a Hangout about Paris, if there is only 3 of us, 4 of us in the Hangout, it's enough. Then this video would be recorded, and maybe we should do very short videos.
You are talking about like circles make these.
For example, let's go for Paris, and let's do one short video, Arc de l'Innovation, one short video, Fab City. And during this Hangout, there's people from Barcelona, from Valencia, I don't know, that are listening to us, asking us questions, but we don't need everybody to be there because this is recorded. But I'm just thinking of a format that it's easy to look at. Maybe you, Julia, you're not there that day, but then you have the list of 4 short videos about projects in Paris. So we can focus on circles just to make a bunch of projects, like maybe 4 projects every day, and we try to cut the video. I don't know. I'm thinking about formats, but
if in your structure, the responsibility is on the circles. Better that way.
Yeah.
I mean, in February, it is the Paris circles' turn, like internal video.
Yeah.
And then in March, it's the Barcelona circles, and then Valencia, and so on. We can just schedule it and or ask people to into that timeline anyhow. Then it can work because it's not totally autonomous, and the responsibility is on the shoulders of circles. That could work.
I would say.
But then, if I understood it well, what you propose, Joanna, is to, because this is quite linked to an idea that Pascual and Irene proposed, but they cannot be here today. But you are proposing to make very short videos of projects, and then to make a hangouts of the circle, and then people can participate in that hangouts to
What
what
I wanted is a kind of mix of both, because I don't like to work. I mean, I don't have time. Really, I don't have time. So, like, being here, it's so difficult for me. And the same will be for the next hangout we'll do. So for me, I can take a bit of time to do a selection of a few pictures of each project and prepare a bit of the presentation. But for me, it's the most efficient would be just to do the hangout. So it's a presentation hangout where, let's say, I'm speaking for 4 minutes. Then you ask me some questions, and then we stop the video and we start a new one with another project. So you will have a 4-minute presentation with some images and some questions that are done by the people that came to the hangout. So it's a very rough video, but at least you have and some information. Then if we have time, we'll do a nice video, maybe record it with a good light and everything. But for me, it's like rough material, but it's just easy to do, easy to produce. And it's a good starting point, because maybe there's a project that everybody is interested in, and they say, come on, let's do a better video for it. So maybe it's a way to choose some project that should be better. Like, for example, myself, I would really like to have good information about what's going on in Mestura Puerto and Castellón Salsa Huerta. For me, this is very important, because I'm talking about these projects in Paris. So at some point, maybe I would say, you guys go and do a better video for it. But
okay, no, because this is quite linked to an idea that Pascual and Irene is different, but Irene is here indeed. I don't know if Irene or she can talk.
Hi.
But, hi, Irene.
Hello. I didn't recognize you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Irene, I was just, we are discussing about formats to start to improve this internal communication about projects. And I wanted to mention this thing that you and Pascual proposed about starting even before Hangouts, this campaign with short videos of projects. Do you remember? In a very open way with the hashtag.
Yes, but we start with the projects that we are working now about, and it's project about neighborhoods, for example, how to, and sorry because I'm late, so I don't know what you were talking about, but it's how to join the projects that they are working in the same way, like Mestura Puerto and Salsa Huerta, with these short videos. But
yeah, because
nothing more.
Yeah, no, maybe we were just discussing about these formats or ways to improve the communication between projects or between circles. And then Joanna was just proposing now that a quick way to do this is, if I understood it well, a hangouts where every circle, for example, Paris, Valencia, the different circles, Barcelona, etc., have a session to present the projects that they are working on. And I was just thinking that another option that was proposed by you and was that I think this is very interesting, but maybe another option would be, and I don't know if this is a good idea, and this is more similar to this campaign we were talking also about, like just using a hashtag as we did with what the fuck is CivicWise, to talk about what the fuck is going on in CivicWise, and just using that hashtag in a very open way, that everyone who wants to do this can tell in a tweet or with a video or with an image a project that is being worked by somebody inside the circles in a very, very open way. And maybe this could be also a way to make in a very easy way the projects visible, but also to activate a bit the network to promote, for example, the first hangout session of a circle. I don't know if you understood me. I don't know if I explained it.
Yes.
I mean, instead of starting from the hangout session of the Paris circle, maybe we can start activating this before with a very simple campaign with a hashtag where people of CivicWise just upload an image with a tweet talking about a project that is being worked, that people is working on.
What comes to my mind listening to you is that Juliet was talking about programming this hangout. Maybe we shouldn't program it up on a circle, but on a subject.
Yes.
Like which projects are more on education, which projects are on neighborhoods, which projects are on networks. So maybe programming them related to subjects issues would be even more interesting than going to circles. But I don't know. But what I just think I don't get from what you say, Jonathan, is about this campaign, because once you do a campaign, it's really open. It's open to everybody. Are we enough comfortable, or do you, maybe what you are suggesting is an exercise of a lot of transparency when we communicate in a very rough way, but to everybody. Maybe this is what your purpose, I don't know, but like for me, it's easier to communicate only to CivicWise people, but maybe it's a loss of energy if we only communicate. I don't know. It's an issue that maybe we should have to think about. Like, how open do we want to be?
Yeah, I'm not sure about this. We have to discuss it.
No, I was thinking about what we can do as previous work. I think it's interesting that dividing all the projects and the stuff so that it's more easier to find what you need, what you're interested in. You can do very easily
Google form.
A form where you describe what is about your project. Be a very easy previous work. And I don't know, it could be hangouts based on the subject, the videos.
And who will be in charge? Because the problem is, who is going to be in charge of organizing all this? Are we organizing something that goes in a very natural way, or who is going to prepare the Google form? Because I've been working on some project descriptions, and this is already a huge work to do. And how can we classify projects? For me, this is a huge work, and we can only go for it if there is somebody that feels like doing it, like being invested in doing it. And maybe we can do it after the hangout once we'll have a bit more of information. I don't know. For me, it's maybe a bit early.
But I don't know. I didn't understand, because when I'm thinking about the form, everyone, of course, one person have to do the form, but it's I don't know. I was thinking about like 2-3 questions, like name, where are you, what is it about, and maybe I don't know. Like you say, it's about education, stuff like that, and everyone who's interested in doing it and feel it does it. So the work of the person is just, I can do it.
But I think Anna is asking also who is in charge of managing all this.
Yeah.
Because I think what you said is very interesting, because it would be a way also to start trying to tell us to the rest of the people, as you said, Joanna, and you talked about even maybe we would be also a very interesting exercise to think, how do we tell our project? What things do we tell? about what our project, no? The goals, the method, the methodology, I don't know. But if we would be able to do this would be also very useful for the website, but this would be also very useful to start telling each other what we are doing. A good way to start seeing what is happening and to start arranging these hangout sessions. But I think it could be a big work that if we want it to be done, we should organize a small team working. And I don't know if we have to.
Yeah, in fact, I do think that this form is interesting. I just wonder at which moment, like kind of strategic way, we should start to do this form. But if we did a form, I think we should put information about the place the project is and the amount of people it's working on, the money that it costs, the time that it's, like all the phases, and which are the goals, which are, so there is quite a lot of information that we could set from which is the client, and all this. So I do think that the form is interesting, and it's interesting to have the same kind of information, like the place, like all the area, the territory where the project is being set, all this. So it's just that if to start with Hangouts or doing this form, I just don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, you know. Anyway. Yeah, of course. I don't know. As you say, as you describe in this form, is of course more complicated. You know, so we have to decide if we do it first thing or we do it later. I don't know.
But I think that we at least can know what are the dates that we want to know about those projects. You know,
because you might you saw that presentation that I was starting to work on.
No.
You know, the one we did in Paris to present our projects. So there are like a lot of numbers, like time, number of people working in, like money, like hashtags related to, like issues. But maybe we could start from now to do in a document with the information that we need to have, especially when we want to talk about the project. Because, for example, for me, numbers are not that necessary because I got more or less what each project is. But when I talk to a project to somebody else, I need to say how many people was working it, how many people participated, if there was a participatory process, how many people we reached. I don't know. So I do think that numbers are important because they set a bit of the scale of the project. And so maybe we could have a small like list of information that
and after that we can think how to communicate, but it's a start, like have these issues for each project. We can make a document in which we can put those notes, you know.
I think that practical things like budget numbers and stuff makes it much more attractive for the internal communication, because if you are working on a similar project, it's always good to know what is the budget and how do you communicate with the client or the time frame. I mean, the same project might be done in 2 weeks, I don't know, in Paris, but it takes like 2 months in Valencia. So things like that. It's just like these are so practical that I think it would make these hangouts or short videos more attractive for the community as well. Maybe it's better to have these details. I mean, even though they look like details, but these are the very core things that can make Swickwise work like a union or a syndicate or something like that. So everyone knows about the other people's problems, so that you are aware of what can happen to you. and also just like in a much more like a solidarity way.
Okay, then you are proposing to, and also because it's already 10 past 1, you are proposing to start working on this document, no? If I understood it well, to prepare this kind of form and then start trying to gather the info of the different projects inside Civil-wise, and then maybe start with a first hangout session.
Yeah, I have a suggestion. I know that you are meeting in Madrid soon.
Yeah.
The people from Mestura, Puerto, all this. You will be all together in a place, and you all have very interesting projects. Maybe we could do a hangout when you're in Madrid. And then you get each of you get 5 minutes to explain your projects, and we try to do this. I don't know if it's handy, but to cut every project, like 5 minutes we cut, next project, 5 minutes we cut. This way we have 5 videos, very easy to share to somebody, I don't know, within the network. And then maybe we can do it even before having that form. And concerning the form, I think, I don't know, we could spend 1 week, or I don't know, to work on it, and then we share it. It's because I do have some form basis that we started here in Paris. I can share it with you, and then we complete it, and this way we have something a bit consistent for all projects. But concentrating projects on the same issue, I think it's very interesting, like especially Mestura and Xarxa Huerta, all this.
I really like the proposal. But I don't know what you think the rest of the people who's coming to Madrid, like Irene and Seba, but I think would be a very interesting and practical way to start.
Yes.
Indeed, I would propose we are going to be there, if I'm not wrong, from Friday to Sunday. I don't know if maybe on Sunday, or I mean like to the end of the meeting when our ideas are more clear. Maybe we can start sharing it, because our meeting is discuss how to collaborate more, how to even create a kind of framework or platform above our project, and to make them more open, and maybe empower new projects like that. Maybe it would be very interesting to share it with all of you.
And you could say only half an hour, not more than half an hour.
Yeah.
Because you have 5 minutes per project, so it's like really pack.
Yeah. Okay, I accept the challenge.
And we can communicate in the communication Slack about this form. If somebody is putting information, I don't know if you want to do it in the same meeting minute or not. Well, should we do this?
The what? The form, you say?
The form. Should we work it on this meeting minute or not?
No, I think I would. Maybe we open too many documents, but I think I would open.
Okay, because. Okay, once you've done it, I will complete with some information I have. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. There are more questions.
I'll contribute too.
What? Like that?
I'm gonna see what you're doing, and I'm gonna make after you things.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
Then there are no more questions. Maybe I would close the session to make it not very long.
Okay. Okay. Happy to see you.
Bye bye.
Happy to see you.
Have a nice day. Bye bye.
Bye.